Alrighty, morning everyone, and welcome back to another beautiful video on this beautiful channel on another beautiful day. So today was pickup day. We picked up some motors and transformers. So I want to quickly go through with you about all the kinds of stuff that I bought. We're gonna do scrap out videos about all of this stuff. It's gonna be extremely interesting. I'm especially interested in this thing down there. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more in depth in just a minute, but some very interesting stuff. And I'm very happy with the price I paid for this, which was just approximately $80 or like 75 euros. So really good. And we should get approximately 200 to maybe 250 euros back out of it. So that's very nice. And we are going to talk about everything that I bought here in just a minute. And I'm also going to explain to you how I actually buy this stuff, how I go about picking it up, how I go about approaching people, whether or not they want to sell something to me, and yeah, stuff like that. So stay tuned. I think it's going to be really interesting. And that's all the stuff that we are going to do today. Yeah, so here we go. So the way I go about finding new customers is actually pretty easy. Stuff like this, everyone that scraps can pay a way higher price for it than any scrapyard around the world might be able to pay. Why? Because you can process this with extremely low maintenance costs and operating costs and whatever you might have as far as expenses go. You can do it on a very low budget, and usually this stuff is sold to bigger refineries and they have immense operating costs. So that's the reason why we can always pay way more for this kind of stuff than any big industrial place would be able to. Seems counterintuitive, but it really is the case. So for this bucket, for example, there's some couple of pumps in there, some electric motors, and all kinds of stuff. We're gonna do scrap outs of all of this stuff because I actually think it's really interesting. I actually chose some interesting stuff this time, and also the person that I bought it from had a lot of interesting stuff. And so yeah. How I go about this, really easy. I just call companies that might have stuff like this, so maybe electricians or people that do maintenance on all kinds of water stuff and also on sewage stuff and stuff like that, because these are pumps, you know. And so I call these people and I tell them, hey, I'm looking to buy this kind of scrap. Insert the scrap that you want to buy from them. Of course, that's not the first thing you start with saying them. Just have a normal conversation, okay? Don't be like, hey, I want to buy this scrap from you. Would you be able to sell that to me? No, obviously not. That's not going to really work. But, you know, just have a normal conversation and then politely ask them and tell them that you are looking to buy and process scraps like this in order to, whatever, put it back into the economy or something like that. Don't ever call and say, within like the first sentence, hey, I'm a recycler, I'm looking to buy whatever, copper wire, electric transformers, whatever from you. Usually people aren't really interested in that. So just work around it a little bit, okay? It's not that hard. So most people are going to be willing to somewhat talk to you at least, but you have to take into consideration this is not their main objective and they don't really care about their scrap, so you won't really be successful in about 80% of the time. Doesn't really matter because 20% of the companies you call is more than enough and you're going to get a good amount of scrap. This is, for example, just from one company. So, you know, it's totally fine. And so, yeah, this is how I would go about doing that and how I basically do it. I have been doing it for a couple of years now, I would say. And so, yeah, this is some interesting stuff. We're going to scrap that out in a couple of days. And yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. Now, there obviously are problems that can arise if you do stuff like that. You know, people that you buy scrap from, they expect that you take the scrap from them. That's the only reason they are doing business with you. They don't want to keep this stuff. They want it to be gone. They want to do their job, and that's basically the only thing that they are interested in. And so you have to get it out of there. So you shouldn't call a company that you know is going to produce like 500 kilogram motors on transformers when you don't have the means to take them. I mean, if you don't have a crane or some sort of hydraulic system that assists you and a big truck that you can load this stuff into that is open on top most of the time, that's basically the only thing you can do that, then you can't pick these up. So there's no use of calling them and annoying them because you can't take the stuff that they want to have gone. So when you decide what companies you want to do business with, keep that in mind. You can only do so much physically. Take this transformer, for example. This was quite interesting to get this off of my customer's place into my car, which is not really my car, I don't own a car, but anyways, and get it back here. This thing weighs approximately 65 kilos, so maybe like 150 pounds. The problem is, I only weigh 155 pounds, which is like what, 71 kilos, whatever. And like, it was interesting getting that here, let me tell you. I had to basically just wiggle it around, like all the way down to my place here, and I can lift this thing actually pretty efficiently, but I can't walk with this thing lifted, you know? Like, it weighs as much as me, so that ain't really gonna happen, and I somehow got it down here, but it was definitely not easy. But you always have to take into consideration this thing is going to be worth a lot of money. I would reckon probably 150 bucks. So that is something you have to take into consideration. It might be worth to invest into some more heavy machinery so that you can take more of this stuff or bigger stuff even. And so yeah, that might be a thing. But I don't even have a driver's license. So yeah, I don't know why. Don't ask me. But I just didn't have time for it. Yeah, basically the rest of my life. So I'm working on it now and I'm getting it now, but yeah, I for some reason didn't ever make a driver's license, so I have to do that now. But as you can see, it's possible to do it without that, definitely. And you can also make some good money without it. You just need to put a little bit more effort into it. The next thing that is extremely important and that you need to know when you buy stuff is what the stuff is worth. You cannot, under any circumstances, buy stuff that is then gonna be almost worthless to you. You can't do that, okay? We are buying this stuff at a higher price than scrapyard, so if you have to sell it to a scrapyard, you're losing money. That can't be. So you really have to be able to somewhat estimate, if you don't know what it actually is as far as percentage of copper and aluminum and steel and whatever goes, or just, well, not buy it. Obviously, if you've got a contract with someone that you have to take the stuff that they have, you have to do that. Yeah, a contract is worth way more in the long run than having to go to the scrapyard and throw some things out once. You know, it's not that bad, okay? But if you just buying stuff from someone that is only going to be a one-time thing, you really have to make sure that what you're buying is actually good. With these things, for example, I took a risk on those. I did not know what was in them. I just saw these big copper contacts on here and I thought, oh, well, anyways, I can't really lose a lot of money on them. I'm so glad I did, because these have approximately 14 to 15 kilos of copper in them, which is worth like 90 euros. And so, like, what, 100 bucks? Yeah, it's really good. These are really, really good. They do weigh 30 kilos, so, you know, they aren't really easy to carry around. You can definitely not carry two of those at a time. They are really sharp on all the edges and stuff like that. They are a pain to carry, but they are worth it, definitely. You're gonna take a couple of hours to cut it out of there and stuff like that. I will make a video on those as well at some point. I'm actually gonna keep those until I will do a video about them, so you can expect that. But, you know, stuff like that, you should really know what's in them. I usually take stupid risks on this stuff. Usually it pays off because scrap usually isn't worthless, but usually isn't what you should, like, mess with, really, because you can also lose a lot of money real quickly. However, for some scrap, it's actually really, really easy. There are just simple formulas that you can follow if you want to buy scrap. For a transformer like this one, 3-phase transformer with thick copper windings, you have to check if it's copper. If it's aluminum, it's almost worthless. And for a transformer like this, just take 25% copper of this thing. Do your math with that and then figure out what you can pay for it. It's that simple. With your usual small, like, electric motors, something like this, for example. Like, you know, with something like this, take 10 to 15%. It's not going to have a lot more copper. So just take 10 to 15%, put that into your calculation, do your math with that, and then figure out what you can pay for it in your currency and also in your specific circumstances, because my prices might vary drastically from the prices you can get and will get effectively. So always do that. Take that as somewhat as on, like, what you can pay for it, some sort of, like, what do you call that? A guideline. There you go. Take that as a guideline and you can really do some good and solid calculations with that are definitely going to make you some good money. I don't really have to tell you anything about the percentages of copper wire, because I already did a very popular video about that many people on this channel actually already watched. But you know, your normal extension cord wire is about a third of copper value. Then you've got like number 2 wire, which is like single strand copper wire with a more thick insulation on it. And that would have like 50% copper recovery. And you usually like thick, very thick stuff that's got a thick copper core. I would say that's approximately 80%, and that's pretty much all you need to know, really. If you've got any more questions, be sure to check out the video that I did about copper wire a few videos back, and I think that's called like how to always make money from copper wire. It's a pretty simple video, pretty simple explanation, and it's not really hard to understand this stuff. You can pretty much like know most of this stuff within like an hour of research, but you have to obviously keep that in mind if you're doing stuff like that. It's really important. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the stuff I was able to buy today. I hope that you are going to be able to buy some good scrap for yourself as well in the future. And yeah, so I would say that's a pretty good thing. And yeah, if you've got any more questions about this topic whatsoever, be sure to write them in the comments below. I'd be very glad to answer them as always. And also, yeah, please like rate the video if you like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you might want to do. And also subscribe to the channel if you want to do that, because that's a cool thing, I think, and I'm very happy about that if you do so. And so yeah, that's pretty much that. I hope you enjoyed. Have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.